today we'll be doing the assembly instructions for the Crafty Critta Stampin' Up ink pad storage. Product code S0031. First things first, if you lay all your pieces out in their groups so you can get good access to everything all the time. Once you start, you don't want to stop, so you can have everything laid out together. Like you can see here, for your glue, there's no real right or wrong with the choice of your glue. PVA glue, super glue, any PVA style glue. We quite like using the art glitter glue. It's a bit more of a quick drying glue, so you can hold it together for a few seconds and it'll at least stay together for you. But it's all about personal choice. If you use a traditional PVA wood glue, you might just have to hold it a bit longer between each section. So feel free to use whatever glue you got on hand. Obviously super glue is very quick to dry, but not very forgiving, so I wouldn't recommend you use that, especially if it's the first time you've tried any of our products. So we'll get started with this one, S0031. This one is for Stampin' Up ink pads. It takes up the full cube, and we'll start with it now. So if you start with your bases, these go together with the small, you can see the small slots that go together, and you get tabs around the outside that all match up for the outer box. So what you can do with this one, you don't have to do this one 100% here, but it does give it a little bit more strength. A little bit of glue just on each of the tabs. These will line up correctly as we get into the next stages, so just get it fairly close there. So the next to take is your verticals. These go into the tabs here and here. As you're assembling, anywhere that's been cut out, the low sections, if you put glue on there, that'll get in all the areas that you need it. So in this instance, along through here. Line up with the tabs. These can have to take a little bit of a tap in sometimes. It is a very snug fit for a reason. It helps hold it together. There we go, got that right. Next. Same again. Alright, that's where we're up to now. So the next section is all of the large bundle with all the horizontals going across here. Same again, glue on the bottom one where it's cut out. I like to start with one furthest from me, lining up the slots, and then lining up the tabs in the base. So this is where you'll do that alignment, final alignment with the base from earlier. Let's make sure it's home, nice and tight there. So I said, a little bit of a tap sometimes is needed. Okay. Now you can do that, repeat that process for each one individually. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to grab a few at a time. Get your glue across a few of them. don't have to be too fussy with it. And then you're just simply working your way down. Just press. So with these designs, with the glue on each of the pieces, and then as it gets assembled, it all helps support itself. It ends up being a fairly strong unit. If you wish to paint them or decorate them beforehand, that's probably the best time to do it. Just need to make sure that you tidy up any paint that you may get on the tabs or into the slots. You don't want to get too much into there, obviously it'll be a lot tighter to get together. So you may need to give it a light sand if you do choose to paint them first, decorating paper, whatever else, but just make sure that you keep these tabs fairly clear of anything, just to make your life a bit easier as it's going together. A few at a time. Three. And there we have that stage all finished. So everything's all interlocked together now. The base is all locked in there. If you're pretty not confident 100% it's your first one, maybe have a little bit of a break here. Let that glue dry a bit. But if you're confident enough to move on, we'll go on to the next step. So the next step we'll be doing is the top and bottom. Right, so you can tell the top and bottom with the slots in here which line up on this side of it. So because we'll be going into a few different areas with this, give it a little bit of a turn so you can see. So you've applied glue to the lower sections, which is here. And it's going to push in on here and sit on this piece here. So a small bead just along here. Don't get too, be a little bit careful with it, you don't want too much, obviously you get a lot of glue squishing out, which you can clean up obviously with a damp rag. Sometimes it's easier just to deal with it first. And so because of these slots that line up in here, I put a little dab just on here. So now, a matter of lining up with the base. Now this is where it gets a little bit more patience needed. You line it up with the tabs as you go. Take your time, give it a good press in. That interference fit will help keep that in place while the glue gets tacky. So we can now spin it around. We can do the same again this end. Lower points on the ends. Along this edge. All set. And just on our little tabs. See there. Line that up. Make sure it's down. So if you make sure it's down, then that way as you come in, it will line up with these ones here. Nicely home. Now we can move on to the last stage, sides. So they're very similar, obviously, to the other ends, but there's no tabs here for you to line up. So it's to help give it a bit extra strength. Just run the glue down each of these. Into the low areas, which have been cut out, which is them. Protrusions here. One up there. So on this one now, I'm going to put just a little bit on this bottom edge. Like so. And just a little in here on each end. And again on this one. Line it up with your base, roll it up, make sure it all stays on there. Now pushes in, any excess glue you can wipe off, damp cloth or fingers. Make sure that's all pushed in. Turn it around. Same again on this side. Ends, that's done. Small amount on there. here, small out there. So, by rolling it in from the bottom, it helps you align these side tabs quite easily. You see they're just stuck in beautifully. Glue wipe off. Press in. There we go. Have a good look over it, make sure you're happy with where everything's sitting. Make sure your ends have stayed in. They're generally pretty good, especially using the art glitter style of glue, which is a more quicker setting. I like to spin it around, just make sure everything's sitting in nicely, which it is. I'd recommend letting it dry for a good 12 hours before you sort of decide to stock it, or if you're going to paint it, move it around too much. It is pretty sturdy straight away. But just the design of it does hold itself together, so it's not flimsy. You can move it around straight away. And there you have the assembled product for S0031 Stampin' Up ink pad storage. All the right size for all these Stampin' Up ink pads. And just held together with a bit of art glitter glue in my case, or PVA or super glue, whichever suits. For those of you that know, glue topper makes it easy to find your glue rather than a pin. It saves you losing it on the desk, which I was quite prone to. So you can buy these from Crafty Critta as well. They're handmade by Gloria Wolf in America, and we bring them in and make them available to everybody. So they're very handy. You definitely don't lose your pin, and they come with two different sizes, so depending on the size of your tip of your glue, they actually come with two different size surgical steel pins, so they won't rust in your glue, and you don't lose it very easily on the table. So I thoroughly recommend those. So thank you very much. There it is again, S0031 assembled, ready to go into your storage unit and be filled up with all your stamp inks. Thanks again from Crafty Critta, and we'll see you next time, and thanks for buying our products.